Welcome to LNN News. I'm Carolyn Day Pruitt.
And I'm Gianna Deepa. Sam is out this week, but today we do have local news and some sports in a moment. But before we get into that, what are we talking about?
Richmond's acting police chief is being questioned for a shooting incident he was involved in back in 2002. We'll take a look at that story and what it could mean for police chief vacancies moving forward. Before that, we'll have headlines in sports. We'll be back in a moment.
A typical day for me is making sure that the residents have their meds on time and also making sure that they have a good day. My name is Felicia Woodley, and I'm a CNA med tech at Dunlop House. No matter what the situation is, we always put the residents here at Dunlop House first. My work is meaningful because they'll come to me and tell me, thanks for that smile that you have on your face. I connect with them because I look at them as one of my family members. Dunlop House, more than a house, is home.
There's no place like home. That's why BSV created a simple online process where you can easily get pre-qualified for a home loan without entering a branch. Visit bsvnet.com and see how much you qualify for. Be a homebody with no sweat mortgages from BSV.
Welcome back to LNN News. Let's take a look at your local headlines. Polls open at 6 a.m. this Tuesday, June 20th for primary elections. Party nominees in several area General Assembly races will be chosen this coming week as the ballots for this year's general election in November are finalized. 2 local primaries will determine party candidates in Virginia State Senate races. Current State Senator Amanda Chase, who represents Chesterfield and Colonial Heights, is challenged for the Republican nomination by 2 potential candidates, former State Senator Glenn Sturdivant and Tina Ramirez. One of those 3 will face Democrat nominee Natan McKenzie in November. Another sitting Senator, Joe Morrissey, faces a challenge from former delegate LaSharice Aird for the Democrat nod. Based on the outcome of Tuesday's election, either Morrissey or Aird will face off against newcomer Republican candidate Eric Dietrich in a district that includes Petersburg, Hopewell, and parts of Prince George. On the House of Delegates side, 2 untested candidates vie for the Democrat nomination in House District 82. Kimberly Pope Adams and Victor McKenzie are both seeking their party's nod this Tuesday. The winner of that race will go on to challenge sitting Republican delegate Kim Taylor this fall. Polls open at 6 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, June 20th. The last day to vote early in person at your local registrar's office is Saturday, June 17th. Hopewell Interim Police Chief Greg Taylor updated City Council on the city's crime trends this week. His report was optimistic, showing a slight decrease in criminal activity compared to the same time period of last year. Violent crime, which includes murder, forcible rape, robbery, and aggravated assault, was down 15% overall, with the categories of forcible rape and robbery each down a dramatic 75%. Murder and aggravated assault increased by 33% and 23% respectively. The interim chief noted that the majority of aggravated assaults were domestic in nature. Property crime, including arson, burglary, larceny, and motor vehicle theft, is down 23%. This led to a total major crime decline of 22% for the city. While crime is showing some downward movement, opioid overdoses leapt from 4 fatal overdoses and 26 non-fatal overdoses in 2022 to 11 fatal and 40 non-fatal overdoses in 2023, the highest total in the last 5 years of reporting during this time period. Contrasting the dramatic rise in overdoses was a significant reduction in reports of shots fired, declining from 47 to 29 for the same month of May reporting period. Relative to the gunshot detection program being implemented in the city, Interim Chief Taylor stated that 95% of current surveillance technology has been installed, with 10 new sites identified for expansion and already approved by Council. However, an unspecified number of sites are still waiting for electrical hookups from Dominion Power. The tentative completion date is the end of this month. While the overall Hopewell crime stats are more optimistic, the increase in murder and aggravated assault remains a concern. On the same day that the police chief reported those numbers to city council members, a stabbing occurred in the 2300 block of Macklin Circle. Hopewell police officers responded to that scene around 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning, where they found the victim suffering from several stab wounds to the torso, back, and neck. Those injuries are life-threatening, and the victim was first taken to Tri-Cities Hospital, formerly John Randolph, and then later flown to Chippenham. While investigating the incident, officers discovered that 27-year-old Theonta Rashad Fortune was seen running from the scene into a residence. Fortune barricaded himself in the home and refused to comply with officers' commands to exit. Both SWAT and the crisis negotiations team responded to the scene. After around an hour of negotiations, Fortune was taken into custody without injuries. He is being held without bond at Riverside Regional Jail. Hopewell police ask that anyone who may have witnessed the incident or has information related to the incident contact lead detective Sean Grant with the Hopewell Criminal Investigations Unit at 804-541-2284. If you have a tip but wish to remain anonymous, contact the Hopewell Prince George Crime Solvers hotline in Hopewell at 804-541-2202 or by using the P3 Tips mobile app. The light at the end of the tunnel may be appearing for Hopewell's finance reporting. The city has carried a backlog of comprehensive annual financial reports, or CAFRs, for years, but Hopewell Director of Finance Michael Terry reported this week that the backlog should be resolved by the end of this year. Terry said that the reports for fiscal years 2015-16, 2016-17, and 17-18 are now 100% complete. The 2019 report is almost complete, with just 2 sections remaining, each of which are well over 50% completed. Terry estimated that the 2018-19 CAFR will be complete by the end of this month. Each subsequent outstanding CAFR is predicted to take about 2 months each to finish. The 1920 report is expected to be complete by the end of August, the 2021 report by the end of October, and the 21-22 report by the end of December. If that schedule holds true, the backlog will be eliminated by the end of the year, freeing the city's financial staff to focus on the 22-23 CAFR in the spring of 2024, which would put Hopewell back on track for a brighter financial reporting future. Although Richmond citizens voted down a casino in a November 2021 referendum, the Richmond City Council voted on Monday to bring it back to the table in November of this year. The Richmond Circuit Court now awaits the Virginia Lottery to review and approve the gaming operator chosen and submitted by the city, RVA Entertainment Holdings LLC, a collaboration between Urban One and Churchill Downs, before putting it on the ballot for 2023's general election. Senator Joe Morrissey, publicly opposed to the do-over vote, promised to do what he could through budget provisions to prevent Richmond from getting a casino. The General Assembly will meet later this month to finalize the state budget, at which point Senator Morrissey plans to attempt to derail Richmond's second attempt to secure a casino. A family that suffered tragedy last fall is working to turn it into triumph. The Robertson family suffered a terrible loss when Brandon Lewis Robertson was murdered in September of 2022. But the family turned their grief into a battle against gun violence. Brandon was a prominent DJ who used music to inspire many. That passion was the inspiration for forming the Brandon Robertson Foundation Against Gun Violence. The nonprofit has a dual purpose to help kids interested in DJing in the community, as well as to stop gun violence. Jermaine Robertson and Cynthia Robertson were in Petersburg recently for an event to raise funds to continue the work of the organization.
We started this back in September of 22, September the 3rd. Fortunately, our son was tragically murdered, and what we came up with was fighting against gun violence, and that's why the organization started, so we can get these youth and show them a better life than picking up a gun. The purpose of the day's event is to bring awareness about what's going on out here in the world with this gun violence, and for us to sit here and do what we can to help the youth. And with us coming together with Chef Crawford, we are able to get things together to start somewhere, and we need to start right now to make sure that we make these streets safe for these kids.
Sheriff Vanessa Crawford was on hand and explained her office's partnership with the group.
It's so interesting. When the Robertsons lost their son, it hit close to home because my son was killed by gun violence back in '91. And unfortunately, we never found out who did it. However, because of the amount of gun violence with our young people here in this city, it is of great concern, and we've had a lot of meetings, but it's now time to pick up the rod and run and actually do something. So with this partnership, the Robertsons are actually reaching into the community to actually reach our children, do some training, do some educating, so that we don't continue to suffer from gun violence in our community.
The nonprofit participates in many events throughout the year. You can find more information on their Facebook page, Brandon Robertson Foundation Against Gun Violence. The dream of being back-to-back champions is one game closer for the Petersburg Cavaliers. Last Sunday, the Cavs defeated the Fayetteville Panthers 131-120. The matchup was tightly contested until the Cavs pulled away late in the game. This second-round playoff victory sends the Cavs to the East Coast Basketball League's Northern Conference Championship game on June 17th, where they face the North Carolina Capitals, the only team to beat the Cavaliers at home this season. The winner of that game will face the Southern Conference champion for the 2023 ECBL Championship. That's it for this week's LNN News headlines. We'll be right back with sports.
So here at Titan Auto and Tire, we're a full care automotive repair center, full maintenance items anywhere from an oil change, state inspection, and also full engine replacement. Titan Auto is different because of our customer service mainly. I mean, we have some of the best trained and qualified techs in the area. Our three main focuses are customer safety, customer service, and community. Knowing that you're going to put them first and it's not about the dollar.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sandy Elba.
And I'm Dr. Adam Elba.
We're chiropractors and we love what we do.
We change lives on a regular basis. We go from pain relief all the way to wellness. We work with the cause of the problem, we help solve the problem, and put your life on a whole different path.
If you're concerned about your health in any way, or you just want to be healthier all the way around, come see us, Chester Family Chiropractic Center.
Yes, you can still get haircuts, colors, highlights, waxing services, everything that's going to make you look great right here at the Apothic Company.
Welcome back as we jump right into sports. You ready to talk?
Absolutely, go for it.
Let's do it. All right, well, congratulations to the Denver Nuggets, who actually won their very first NBA title in franchise history. That's pretty big for them.
That's huge.
You know, yeah. But with the NBA season wrapping up, that means that the NFL season is just around the corner.
Hold on, wait a second. Aren't we skipping something here?
What are we skipping?
Like, there's this other sport. It involves,
Cool.
like, four little things you run across, and, like, I don't know, it's like a bat. Maybe.
So I like to discuss real sports.
Oh, no, that's
I'm kidding. Baseball is cute.
It's cute. Okay.
Yeah, you know. I mean, do you enjoy baseball?
I do.
You do.
I
Who's
do.
your favorite team? Team, player,
So,
owner?
I actually have 3 teams, and I know that that's unusual, but I have inherited some teams, like, through my family, and then
Okay.
I have some other ones. So, big Baltimore Orioles fan,
Okay.
and they're doing really great this year. New York Yankees fan.
Like
And
everyone in the world.
Like everyone, but yeah. But then also St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Okay.
So,
So I guess which team did you inherit and which team did you find on your
I
own?
inherited the Cardinals. That was my grandfather's team.
Okay.
And he was also a Yankees fan. And we have a lot of Yankees fans in my family, so it's kind of like you have to. And then my immediate family growing up, we were all Orioles fans.
Gotcha.
My brother was a big Orioles fan, and he was a big fan of like Cal Ripken, that kind of thing.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
anyway, I'm just saying, I just wanted to give a little shout out to the fact that baseball is happening.
Baseball
We're not
is
jumping
happening.
straight from basketball to football, but
I mean,
we
but
can talk
baseball
football.
is like always happening though, isn't it?
It
It's
is
like
a
the
very
longest
long season. It is
ever.
a very long. I feel like we just stopped watching baseball, and now we're starting to watch baseball again. So, yeah.
So we just start watching baseball again?
Well, some people do. Some people. But anyway, what's going on in football?
So in football, again, season getting ready to start here soon. But a lot of big things have happened during the off season. For example, Aaron Rodgers no longer plays for the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
Like, did you ever think we would see something like that?
There were rumors. There were rumors certainly floating around that maybe he would leave Green Bay.
Right.
It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, but you just have some people who are just like franchise players, and you just can't like imagine them in a different uniform.
Well, who would have thought that Brady would ever leave the Patriots?
This is true. This
I
is
mean,
very
seeing
true.
him walk around in a Bucs uniform was weird. I don't blame him for wanting to move down to Florida, but
Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. But I am curious to see what happens. When Brady left the Patriots, it was kind of like, hey, who I guess who carried the team? Was it Brady or was it Bill Belichick? And I guess Brady was able to prove he had quite a bit of success with had quite a bit to do with the success, right?
I think it's a combo. I always think it's a combo between star players, but also the supporting players that make what they do possible.
Okay.
And a coach to help mesh everybody together.
Okay. I don't believe that. I think it's just all about the star player. Right. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens there with Aaron Rodgers, who's now playing for the Jets. Now, another thing, the Ravens were able to keep Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there were some rumors. Well, not some rumors. You know, their dispute did play out in the public eye, but fortunately they were able to reach an agreement. And Lamar Jackson signed a $260 million deal for 5 years and $130 million guaranteed.
Wow. I mean,
I'm just gonna say we're all thinking we're all doing the wrong thing. We should be playing quarterback somewhere.
I know. I miss my calling as a professional football player.
That's because you're too busy watching baseball. No, I'm kidding. But they were also able to sign wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr.,
Yes.
who was just coming off of a surgery, though. I mean, how do you think that would impact him? Do you think that would make them a better team? Do you think that Odell Beckham still has it? I mean, like, at one point, I think he was the highest paid receiver in the league.
Coming out of a surgery straight into a new team, I'm sure it's difficult.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
only are you getting used to a new team in terms of players and coaches and an area, but you're also then at that point getting used to probably new doctors, new physical therapists, all that kind of
Absolutely.
stuff. So I'm sure that that's not going to be easy, but I have no doubt that he will be okay.
Okay. Hopefully he rises to the occasion.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from, I guess, not playing in pretty much a year to going back into full contact football, you know, against some of the best players in the world, it's going to be kind of hard. But if anybody could do it, maybe Odell Beckham can do it, right?
I think they'll work with him. They'll know what he's going into. He'll know what he's walking into.
Absolutely.
And so I'm sure he will do everything that he can to prepare himself for
Good
that.
stuff.
So
Well,
it's going to be fun to watch.
it is going to be fun to watch. Yeah. Now, the Eagles, you know, they...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So why'd you say, oh, yeah?
Well, I mean, they just recruited like all of Alabama. I mean, they just
sure
transplanted
did.
them, just lift you up out of Alabama, place you in Pennsylvania. So
This is
it's
true.
going to be interesting to watch.
It is. It definitely is.
As all of this will be.
Right. And they did show how much they valued their quarterback Jalen Hurts. You know,
Yes.
they gave him a $255 million contract with $110 million guaranteed.
And all of the cost of all of these other players to help support and I'm big into that. I know you got the star player thing, but I think that you could have the greatest quarterback who can just throw the ball amazing, but if you don't have somebody on the other end who can catch that ball,
You're absolutely right. You're right.
You're right.
right.
So they've invested a lot of money to keep their momentum rolling this year.
So how far do you think they'll go this year with all these changes that they've made? I mean, pretty much the same team, and
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the Super Bowl
Super
again.
Bowl. I think they win it this time. What do you think? Is it too early to predict?
It's too early. We don't even know who they'd be playing. So
Write it down.
throw out a suggestion. Who do you think they'd be playing? Based on
They right back with Pat Mahomes.
you think?
Be another
You don't think it
rematch.
might maybe be the Bengals?
You know what? I think it might be the Cowboys.
Okay.
Speaking of the Cowboys, they have chosen to keep Dak Prescott as their quarterback, so we will not see them in the Super Bowl this year again.
Oh, ouch! I'm not gonna say anything about that.
And we just talked about Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. Tampa Bay has chosen to replace Tom with Baker Mayfield. They're going to be going far.
I don't really know a lot. I didn't watch their whole thing as closely. When I was watching the lost the word for it.
Take your time, but honestly, not much to watch. I don't think they're going to make any strides to being any better than they were last year with Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position. But who knows? The season's long. Maybe some things might happen in between there.
So let me ask you this: do you think there are any surprises waiting in the wings? Do you think that there are any teams that have not played so well in the past couple of years that may just have a shot at coming out and surprising everybody?
No. No.
Prepare yourself for a boring football season. It will be the same as last year.
Not boring, but predictable. I think that the teams that made it deep into the playoffs were just so much better than the rest of the field. That the gap is kind of hard to close.
Yeah.
So I do believe that we're going to and those teams have not made super significant changes in terms of losses of players or even in additional players. So I don't know that there's going to be a team that can surprise them and say, hey, I didn't see that team coming.
What do you think the Packers are going to do now? How do you think they're going to do without Aaron Rodgers?
They're going to lose, but it's just how much they're going to lose by.
Right.
Do you even know who they replaced Aaron Rodgers with?
No.
Exactly.
Off the top of my head.
Exactly. So I don't foresee the Packers, at least not this year. You have to get yourself another solid quarterback that you can really build a team around to reach the level of success that you reached last year, and then grow from there.
Maybe Tom Brady will come out of retirement again.
It'll be time number 5. I don't know. I'm surprised he hasn't come out of retirement already.
Lead the Packers.
You know what? That would actually be great. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. If you're listening, Tom.
That should be a reality show where Tom Brady he hosts his show of him revitalizing teams that aren't doing so great.
Okay.
Bad teams. And Tom Brady, people would watch that.
People would definitely watch that.
Absolutely.
I would definitely watch that. But you can only stay for 1 or 2 years, because after that, we know what happens.
No, I'm not saying he plays on the team. I'm saying he comes in and he teaches them, coaches them, or helps their coaches, helps their players and all, and it's a whole reality show. It'd be great.
I mean, but Tom Brady's not proven as a coach or anything like that. So
no, he's not. But people would watch it because it has his name on it.
Okay, I could buy it.
Wouldn't you want to see how Tom Brady is when he's not just on the field?
No.
Ouch.
I'm not interested.
Never
in
mind.
Other than Tom
Test
Brady
market says no to that show.
I mean,
He could do a little bit of behind the scenes, but people wouldn't be interested in the behind the scenes reality stuff in his family anymore because he's not with Giselle.
Right, because she was definitely the one carrying the fame of that family there, right?
Power couple.
Power couple, right?
They were both.
But so here's what I would suggest: Tom Brady, reality show, he plays quarterback 1 year at a different team every single year. Let's pick the team that's struggling the most at the quarterback position, and let's throw him in here and see what he can do.
Boring. He just plays. I know. Okay. We'll throw some chaos into it. He plays for a different team every month.
What?
Yes.
That's not even realistic.
Yeah, no, it totally is. All he has to do is just jump from one team to the next and play for a month. Mm-hmm. And then some of them may skyrocket up in the standings for a month, and then as soon as he's gone they drop back down, and it would just be constant chaos. I mean, you're betting on any football at that point would be just done, gone. It would be fascinating to watch.
But what about the learning curve, the time it takes for him to actually learn the scheme, and because that's a new. Yeah. She's like, it doesn't matter because it's not important.
He'd be fine. No, he'd figure it out, and he eventually he'd learn it, how to quickly get in there, what he needs to know, and the key practices and all. He'd figure it out. It would be fascinating.
You have a lot of faith in Tom Brady.
What can I say? I'm a fan.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd watch that. I'd watch that.
I mean, the whole thing. It's not necessarily watching Tom Brady make teams successful. It's watching Tom Brady come out of retirement just to create constant chaos in the NFL. It would be hilarious. He has been doing already. It would be hilarious. Yes, he'd just continue what he's been doing for the past at least a couple of years with the whole retirement thing.
Okay, cool. I like it. Well, speaking of the quarterback position, the San Francisco 49ers had just signed 2 or 3 more quarterbacks to solve their problem of running through 8 quarterbacks in the postseason.
And a non-quarterback. There was another player who played a different position who came in at one
point.
My
gosh, yes, I remember. Yes. I don't remember his name, but yes.
Yes. Who was better than their final quarterback.
Exactly. So, good job. That's a good move, San Francisco, because apparently you need more than just 4 quarterbacks to last an entire season.
Wait, so how many did they recruit?
3.
3.
I think Sam Darnold is one of them as well.
I think that the Commanders recruited a couple too. I think if I remember correctly, because they had some issues there too.
Yeah, with Carson.
But he came out and he did really well.
Yeah.
Heineke went out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this new NFL season plays out. I'm excited with all the drama that CD's trying to throw in the mix there.
I mean, it could be. I mean, their viewership is already through the roof.
It is.
If you pull in like a reality TV show connected to the NFL, that would capture a lot of the female market that doesn't even watch. I mean,
that's true.
Hey,
that's true, and then make Giselle a part of it too. Somehow.
Giselle dates a different football player
every month, and it's always Tom Brady's teammate from that team. Come on. And then the kids are like, stepdad,
I'd watch it. I'd watch it. I would so watch it.
That would definitely be messy. That would definitely be messy.
It would be very messy, but it would be intentional messiness. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know, they've got this commercial on TV. I can't remember what it's for. Like one of the TV streaming services or something, where they have like the Real Housewives actually like play football, because it's saying like you can watch live TV or you can watch your shows. You can flip back and forth, and then like it's like football. Housewives, football, housewives, and then they merge together, and then all these housewives like playing football on the field. It's hilarious.
I love that.
Absolutely, we can do something totally like that.
Cool. So it's not a real show though. It was just a commercial.
That was a commercial.
Oh, because I would probably watch.
The housewives playing football.
Right.
How about football players being housewives?
I'd watch that. Now that Tom Brady's not playing anymore, for now. You can be a housewife.
Yikes. All right, I think I completely derailed your sports talk today.
It's okay. It was a lot of fun. and we've given the networks a lot to think about. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
We'd like our cut.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. We automatically get a cut of that royalties. Thank you.
There we
very
go.
much.
There we go.
Right here. All right.
Anyway, that's it for sports today. What we got coming up next, CD?
Thank you again to our viewers for tuning into the show. If you'd like to be notified when our new videos drop, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. We'll be back in a moment.
It's time you heard the best fried chicken doesn't come out of a bucket or a box. You'll find it fresh out of the deep fryers at Breeze Inn. Virginia's finest chicken. Succulent, juicy chicken with a crispy coating. Hungry for more? Try our pulled pork barbecue, real Philly cheesesteaks, and mouth-watering burgers. Home to Virginia's finest chicken. And oh yeah, we've got a convenience store too.
Welcome back. Let's get into our discussion for this week. The chatter in the media about Richmond's acting police chief. Tell us a little bit about that, what the chatter's all about.
Sure. One of Richmond's news channels, WRIC, came out with a report this week that acting Richmond Police Chief Rick Edwards was part of an officer-involved shooting back in 2002. According to the outlet, they requested records of that incident through the Freedom of Information Act and dug through their own archives as well to find the incident. So, Edwards and another officer pulled over a 21-year-old driver for a vehicle registration issue, but that person ran from them and then opened fire on them. His bullet struck the other officer, and both that officer and Edwards returned fire, shooting and killing him. WRIC states clearly in their report that the officer's actions were justified, and that this raises the question in my mind: if the shooting was justified, why go through so much to bring up this incident? So that's kind of the question floating around in my mind. I thought it was an interesting report. So he has applied to become the new, he's acting police chief. He's applied to become the new official, permanent city police chief for Richmond. You may have seen him. He was often the face on the news talking about the shooting that happened at the graduation in front of the Altria Theater. So they requested these documents under FOIA. How they knew to go back to a certain period in time, like 2002, and also look through their own archives for any record of this. Don't know what prompted them to do that. It's just interesting to me that we have a police officer. This was over 20 years ago when this incident happened. A lot of police officers are involved in shooting incidences. It's part of the job. It's part of the line of duty. So what warranted digging 20 years into the past to find this particular incident is the question that keeps coming to my mind.
I mean, hearing the story, reading the story, I'm not sure what this discussion is even about, especially after learning that, the return fire was, justified. But I guess when you are coming into just like the presidential elections. It's not abnormal for people to try to go into your closet and pull out some skeletons. I'm not sure. I guess who's responsible for airing the story? Do you know?
Yeah, it was WRIC.
Oh,
Channel 8,
you definitely did just say that.
But I guess my question is, I understand digging, but usually when you dig up a story that you think it's important for people to know about, it's a story that it maybe casts a bad light.
Right.
In this case, they even say in the story that it was justified because, they were shot at first, and actually one of them was hit multiple times. So my question is, is this a new standard where anyone who's going to possibly apply to become a permanent police chief in a city is going to have all of their records as a police officer dug through in order to find, he did this, and this is normal line of duty stuff.
Right.
And I don't understand why it's being dug into as if it's a or a mark on his record against him being police chief. And I'm not saying that that's what they're saying, but why else bring this up?
Right. I couldn't possibly tell you,
Right.
But I think that because that is a position that people vote for, right?
No, you don't vote for that.
Really?
Not for police chief. You vote for sheriff. You don't vote for police chief. That's
gotcha.
higher. Yeah.
Gotcha. So let's say, so what would the consequence be if this was something that looked bad? Like if that's not a position that you vote for, like what would? Because I could understand it was a sheriff position, and it was a position that you would vote for. I think it is important for people to have all the information they can to help them make the right decision as to who they should elect into that position. But if there are no consequences, then what's the point in bringing it up? I guess I would have the same question that you do.
Right. I guess my concern is, if you're having all of these elements, these things that are part of your job, it's a tough job. There's no doubt of that. You're having to make quick decisions that are possibly life-changing for both you, your other officers, the people, the civilians on the street. To me, it adds to the pressure if someone's going to become police chief or thinking about applying to become a police chief to fill a vacancy. Are they going to, if they have a long history, which, let's be honest, if you're having somebody step in as police chief, you want somebody with a long history of experience on the force, because they're probably going to be the best ones to lead versus somebody who has, 5 years on the job. But are they going to be deterred from applying because, every single little thing that I've done, regardless of whether it was justified, is going to be drugged back up even from over 20 years ago? Is that going to start deterring people, officers, from applying to lead their forces in our localities? To me, that's a concern.
It is a concern, but I'll say this to that. Well, number one, the fact that they had to go back 20 years just to find something, like 20 years to find something, is a good thing. Right? That's number one. Number two, if you are concerned about your records being pulled, then maybe you shouldn't be applying for the position to begin with.
Well, but in his case, they interviewed him and he was saying, this was something, it's a terrible thing to shoot somebody. Right. And he said, it's something that he struggled with. So it's bringing up these, these things that he's possibly been working to deal with ever since then. But also, it's just creating a reputation for you that, to me, isn't deserved. So it's not necessarily like, I don't want them digging through my past because I have something to hide. It's maybe, I don't want them digging through my past because I don't want to have to sit here and try to explain why I did my job the way I was supposed to do. To me, the standard that they're holding people to, we expect you to be a police officer for 20, 30 years if you want to lead, but also you can't have ever shot anybody in that.
Over the course of 30 years, I'm pretty sure something like that has to happen in that line of work. But again, it comes with the job, I believe. That's like being a superstar and saying, I don't want the paparazzi taking pictures of me. It comes with the job. You may not like it,
Harry and Meghan.
right. Or you may like it in that case, right? But you may want to go on a worldwide privacy tour and say that you don't want pictures taken of you. But again, there are pros and cons to a lot of these things. You get coming into, you step into a new role, and people are gonna have questions for you, and what that might look like, may change.
And I will say, I mean, he handled it very gracefully.
Right.
He talked about it openly. He wasn't trying to hide anything.
Good.
But again, at that point, you're the media, and you're asking questions about this incident, but then you're also saying it wasn't really controversial. So why are you dragging it up? I just always come back to that question. Why drag it up? Or are they? Is this a new standard where everything that you've ever done is going to be scrutinized because of trends in policing or whatever?
Right.
It's just to me an interesting observation that this is happening and why. And it's interesting the timing right after he became a very public face.
Of course.
Because of course the graduation shooting is being covered nationally.
Right.
So he's a very public face right now. So I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it.
Of course. I mean, again, like you say, it's a public face, and the key word you mentioned was media. That's their job. Let's stir something up, and let's
stir something up. It shouldn't be stirring something up. It should be covering what's happening.
Right. I mean, but again, over the course of, you had to go back 20 years to find something. So for me, that says, hey, maybe this person is the right fit. Maybe he does have a really good record. And that's a positive thing if you ask me. And if you have to bring something like that up, there's nothing else that you have to talk about. Then that's the only option. You're like, okay.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that it is better when a city or county is hiring a police chief? Do you think that it is better to promote somebody from within the ranks of that city, or do you think it's better to search outside and maybe pull in somebody from a different locality?
I think it's much better to promote from within. Someone who already understands the structure and the workings of the organization and the city itself. That way the learning curve isn't that great. You're not spending a lot of time, teaching.
Right.
Versus, hey, look, let's solve the problems that we need to continue to solve. So you lose a lot of time, I believe, if you were going to, hire and bring someone from an outside space.
Right. I think there's pros and cons to both. I agree with you there. I think that's a huge time saver and energy saver.
Right.
I do think that at times, depending on the state of the police force, it may be good to bring in some fresh perspective on things. If there's a particular problem like recruiting, you're having trouble recruiting officers, and maybe they just keep doing the same things to try and recruit and it's not working. Maybe you need somebody with a fresh set of eyes coming in. But I generally agree with you. I think it's good to promote from within somebody who is familiar with the community, already has ties. They don't have to worry as much. They're going to build new relationships, but they still have a lot of the same ones. They're not going to have to start from total scratch.
Right. There's already a foundation there.
Yeah.
So
the tying is into the shooting that happened, the unfortunate graduation shooting that happened in front of the Altria Theater. Do you have any thoughts on that? It's been a huge topic, of course, and I think that the funeral is this week for the son and the graduate and his stepfather.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously, it is unfortunate, and especially for the innocent bystanders, who were affected by it. Even those who weren't even, injured. Some have to, I guess, go get. They had to get seen for what's the word I'm looking for?
Like counseling
and things of that. I mean,
it's
because
a horrible thing to see.
Horrible to see, even here. And then to know of what happens. If you were in the area, you just heard it, didn't see anything, but to then know what the outcome was. Not a great feeling.
Right.
So my condolences to those who were affected and who lost someone that day.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's awful to have so much ahead of you. It's such a bright day. You know, you're sitting there in your graduation cap and gown, and you're thinking to yourself, you know, you're celebrating what you've accomplished. You're also looking ahead, and the future is wide open for you. And to have that cut short on, especially on that day. I mean, it's bad enough any day.
Any day. Yeah.
Any day for a 17 or 18-year-old. But for it to be that day, right after you walked across the stage, I mean, that's just, I don't know. We have so many problems that we need to solve as a society.
Absolutely.
And to stop things like this from happening.
Right. I just think that people need to do a better job of taking care of themselves as well. You know, you hear a lot of talk about mental health and self-care and things of that nature. And I think that you have to have a lot of, there's something going on in you. A lot of self-hate, and also I know a lot of hate just in general. I'm not saying that shooting anyone or waiting to shoot someone is at a different time is any better. I mean, but at a moment like that,
to me, that's very intentional.
Absolutely. At a moment like that, you know, where nothing else matters but your hatred or your feelings or your emotions at that time, right? To make a very permanent decision, you know, based off of those temporary feelings and emotions at that moment in time. We just have to do a better job of taking care of ourselves and taking care of our mental state, you know, because I wholeheartedly believe that someone in the right state of mind, again, I'm not saying that it's better to wait, but someone in the right state of mind, I don't think would have done it at that time.
Right.
You know,
I think we need to give our kids better tools for processing through conflicts, whether that be conflicts with other people or conflicts within themselves too.
Right.
I think that we are failing them on that part.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do agree. I mean, before we wrap this up, I guess if you don't mind me asking, because I love to be solution oriented. I guess what kind of things or what do you think that we can do for our youth, you know, to ensure that, you know, I guess we do provide them with, you know, those tools and things like that. I guess what can we put in place? Right.
I mean, the obvious answer I think that everyone goes to is something in terms of education, or tying it into education, since you already have kids in school for X number of hours per day. I think this about a lot of skill sets. We teach our kids facts. We teach our kids all sorts of things, knowledge. Here's a granule of knowledge about this. We're not teaching our kids how to live life and how to succeed as human beings. We're not teaching them things like, you know, business, finance, how to create a future for yourself, how to figure out what it is you even want to do with your life. We're not teaching them these things. I think that if we focus more on that and give kids a way to figure out their purpose, it would help focus them on a path, give them an idea of what the future even means. Because if you go and shoot somebody, you're not only stealing their future, you're likely getting caught and stealing your own future. You're throwing your own future away. So to me, if you're willing to throw your own future away just to settle a dispute or get back at somebody, it's because you don't have a long-term vision of life.
You don't have anything to lose.
Right. We need to give them something to live for. We need to help them find their inner purpose so that they can go out and use that to not only, you know, be successful, you know, have an impact. A lot of kids want to have an impact on the world that they see. I don't know the exact tool or the program or whatever that would do this, but I think that a lot of it is our education system focusing on things that aren't going to necessarily help down the road. You're not going to solve the major issues of life with algebra.
Right.
And I'm not saying don't teach algebra, but not every kid needs algebra.
Right.
Not every kid needs to learn calculus. I mean, to me, we're focusing on the wrong things. We're focusing on SOL scores, you know, things like that really in the long run don't mean a whole lot in terms of
Right.
actually carving out a future for yourself as a person.
I agree with that. Maybe we need to get back to adding some of those trade programs back into the schools.
Absolutely.
I remember we had shop. We had the culinary. We had a culinary class. Things like that. But going back to the police chief, maybe working on because I know gun control has been a really big conversation here. Recently. And maybe working on some sort of buyback program. We'll buy it, no questions asked. Registered, unregistered gun. We'll buy these guns off of you, and not offer maybe because you probably just go buy a new gun, right? But maybe offer something else. Something along that trade line. I don't know what yet, but offering something of value that would help them invest in their future. I don't know what that would look like. Maybe partnering up with some trade schools.
Right.
Hey, you get a year free tuition, or you get a stipend for this, or something. Something along those lines that where we could stop talking about and actually doing something about.
Right. The sad thing is, I think that the vast majority of people who would actually use a gun to go out and commit a crime versus using it just as their own personal defense are the people who I think are probably less likely to participate in a program like that, in my opinion. So
I don't
know what the stats are on that.
I mean, I don't disagree, but we can't say we can't say we didn't try.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to curbing this trend of violence, I mean, the violence that happened in Petersburg last year, a lot of that was among our teenage or early 20 youth. Right. So clearly there's a problem there, and a multi-pronged approach to fixing it. Yeah. All right. Very good. Great discussion. Yeah.
I try. Not really, it comes naturally.
We'll be back in a moment.
Swaders, Central Virginia's premier sports park. Corporate events, parties, date night, or just a family outing. At Swaders, it's always playtime.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends at the Cloud Factory, who take a customized approach to their customers. They know not everyone is alike, and neither are their needs. So, the Cloud Factory focuses on what's best for you when it comes to CBD, hemp-based products, vapor nicotine, glassware, and just about anything, providing alternative routes to a healthier you.
That's it for this week. We appreciate all of our viewers, and thank you for tuning in.
And if you enjoy the show, be sure to follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook.
And a big thank you to all of our sponsors, especially Dunlop House, for making the show possible. We'll see you again next Friday. Thanks for watching LNN News.